We're live. All right, hey, everybody watching on Facebook, welcome to this live broadcast, and everybody on Zoom too. If you're on Zoom and you want an upgraded, enhanced viewing experience, head over to Facebook right now. It's Cantor Marcus along with Rabbi Hammerman, and today we are bringing you the Jewish New Year through words of Torah, through wisdom, and through song. So we're going to take you through the whole calendar. So if you're watching at home, don't go away. Stay right there. Your favorite holiday may be coming up, and you don't want to miss that. So Rabbi Hammerman, what you got today?
Well, this is such a weird time for all of us. You know, these days, these nights turn into days. Shabbat doesn't really feel like Shabbat because, you know, I'm sleeping until 9:30 every Saturday morning. A work day bleeds into a work night, blurs into a weekday, blurs into a weekend. I feel like the only thing that's giving my day any structure, frankly, is Minyan. Having Minyan every morning at 8, which is a lot better than 7. Don't you agree?
I love it. It's a great time.
Giving each day some measure of structure. You know, the Jewish holidays give us structure throughout the whole year. Judaism itself gives us some structure. It's ever present from cradle to grave, from morning to night, from Rosh Hashanah all the way to Rosh Hashanah. And even though we're Jewish every second of our lives, I'd say that the Jewish holidays, maybe we can look at them like office hours, like a professor's office hours during college. We're always students, but sometimes we have office hours. Sometimes we go in and observe Judaism even more intensely. And that's through the Jewish holidays that we're going to race through this evening. Are you ready?
Ready. What's first on your?
Well, first I just thought I'd speak quickly about some different themes of Jewish holidays before we get into the actual holidays. And you can look at the Jewish holidays according to different themes. The first one is maybe agriculture, because of course we were all farmers once in ancient times. The only job you could have was a farmer. And a few days a week on the market days, Mondays and Thursdays, people would come in to the city and sell their crops. That's why we have Torah reading on Mondays and on Thursdays, because those were the sales days. So agriculture, and the first agricultural holiday of the year is Pesach. The second agricultural holiday of the year is Shavuot, and the third one, the end of the agricultural cycle, is Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret. And then we wrap things up. So that's one cycle. The second annual holiday cycle that we talk about is the cycle that starts with Rosh Hashanah. And in fact, the 40 days of repentance from the beginning of the Hebrew month of Elul all the way through Rosh Hashanah. Then the 7 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur, boom, that's the end of the season of repentance. Except there's actually one more chance, which is Hoshana Rabbah at the very end of Sukkot. Another cycle is the fast days. We've got fast days all year long. You can group Jewish holidays. We actually have 6 different fast days. Everyone knows about Rosh Hashanah, about Yom Kippur. Many people know about Tisha B'Av, but there are actually 4 other quote minor fast days that we have during the annual cycle. And maybe a final grouping of holidays that we have are the modern ones. Modern holodays that obviously couldn't exist before 1948. We couldn't have had Israel's Independence Day. We couldn't have had Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. And maybe the newest Jewish holiday is Jerusalem Day, Yom Yerushalayim, the day that we celebrate the unification of the year. So I want to start talking about Rosh Hashanah, but maybe I'll put a little bit of Rosh Hashanah music to set the
And thanks, Rabbi. If you're at home or if you're on Zoom or on Facebook, please sing with us. Even though we can't hear you, we can feel your energy. Here we go. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, yai, dai, dai, dai. Together. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai,
So as I said before, Rosh Hashanah, which is 2 days, is really part of a whole 40-day period, which are the 40 days of repentance. In many ways, the 30 days leading up to Rosh Hashanah are supposed to be visceral. They're supposed to remind us of just how important the Rosh Hashanah holiday is. We can't just jump into it cold turkey. We need those days of awakeness. That's why every single day we blow the shofar during the month of Elul, except for Shabbat. One of my favorite games to play during Elul is to expect, and really this is what happens, people in the minyan don't remember that we're about to blow the shofar. So I usually kind of stand in the back of the room and let it be really quiet in the room. And then suddenly, and there she is right there, sneak up behind Debbie Schiff. And what do, Debbie Schiff? Oh, your microphone's muted. We can't hear you. I scare the bejesus out of you by blowing a big, loud Tekiah Gedolah, which is what you're supposed to hear every single day of Elul, to literally wake us up. And it's kind of fun to see just how close to the roof of the synagogue small sanctuary Debbie's head gets as she jumps out of her chair. The other thing that I love about Rosh Hashanah, aside from all the beautiful stuff that we do on the Bima, I love that after Rosh Hashanah services, we step out of the sanctuary, we go to the flowing body of water, which is also a swamp, in front of our synagogue, and we symbolically toss our sins away. That's called tashlich, throwing away our sins. So I love a lot of the practices of Rosh Hashanah, but we can't linger. We got to move on to Yom Kippur. Got some music, Cantor.
Or zaru ala tzadik, ulishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ulishrei lev simcha.
And with that, we have
Nidarei veyasarei Vacharamei Ushevuei Vekonamei Vechinuyei Vechinusei. And to catch the rest of that, you're going to have to come back in September.
All right, I just got a request on to mute everyone, so I'm going to do that.
Let's mute everyone
and mute themselves.
Yeah, if you're on Zoom, just mute yourself. And again, if you'd like a little bit of an enhanced viewing experience, I urge you to go over to Facebook. I'm sure you'll find it entertaining. So let's keep rolling with those holidays. So far, we made it through September, folks, and it's only March.
Well, I didn't actually say much about Yom Kippur. For me, Yom Kippur used to be, as a kid, it was about fasting. That's what got all the attention. But as I became more and more of an adult, I realized that Yom Kippur is really a rehearsal, and it's not a rehearsal for something good. It's a rehearsal for our deaths. And Yom Kippur is really a reminder that as an adult, you could die, so be better in your life. That's why we wear a kittel, the white robe on Yom Kippur, which is the same thing we wear when we're buried. That's why we talk about the gates closing. That's why we talk about fasting, because when you're dead, you don't obviously need to eat. And of course, the emotional high point of Yom Kippur is Yizkor. We're in the middle of a plague in our day and age that in many ways reminds me of some of the passages of martyrology that we also recite in Yom Kippur afternoon. Do you know any of the songs from the martyrology section?
I think I'm usually sleeping. Am I allowed to admit that on live?
You're on the Bima then.
Live.
So let's jump ahead to Sukkot. And on Sukkot, there are really a lot of competing beautiful themes of Sukkot. Number one is just to be outdoors after all of these indoor holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where we spend hours and hours inside. Sukkot is an outdoor holiday. And I'm not just talking about the sukkah. At our synagogue, we're lucky enough to have outdoor seating where we usually have services out of doors during Sukkot. It's a holiday where we think about shelter and we think about the harvest, and where we have the lulav and the etrog, these symbols of fertility that relate to requesting rain and requesting that the harvest season that ends right then, that all of the water for the whole next harvest season already be given to us as the rainy season begins. I wanted to tell a little bit of a sukkah story, but first, Cantor, you have some Sukkot music.
Yes, of course. One of the themes is to be happy on the holiday. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח
I must say, I'm so happy to hear that song about being happy. I was getting the shivers hearing the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur tunes, but I'm totally fine hearing Sukkot. I was reminded as I was preparing for this of the wonderful Sukkot rhyme by Rabbi Arthur Gould called The Rules of the Sukkah According to Dr. Seuss. You can build it very small, you can build it very tall. You can build it very large, you can build it on a barge. You could build it on a ship or on a roof, but please don't slip. You could build it in an alley, you could build it in a valley. You could build it on a wagon, you could build it on a dragon. You can build it very wide, you cannot build it on its side. And if it should be very cold, stay there only if you're bold. So build the sukkah one and all, make it large or make it small. Sukkah rules are short and snappy. Enjoy Sukkot, rejoice and be
happy.
Happy. There you go. There's a little Sukkot. So there are lots of rules about how to build your sukkah. But what no one knows is the name of the sukkah, the name of the holiday when you're supposed to take down the sukkah. Do you know what that is in our household?
What's that?
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah? I thought that was for Gelt and jelly donuts.
No, we don't usually take our sukkah down until Hanukkah. Well, some years, depending on organized. But we're not ready for Hanukkah yet. We're ready for Hoshana Rabbah. We say that on Rosh Hashanah, our verdicts are written, and on Yom Kippur they're sealed. But on Hoshana Rabbah, they're written, and that's also when we do our rain dance.
A rain dance. We sing this song. And by the way, if you've got a favorite song or a favorite memory from any holiday, if you're on Facebook Live or on YouTube, let us know in the comments. If we like your comment, we'll post it, and let us know what your favorite song is, and maybe we'll include it. Hoshana, 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 Hoshana.
And once we get through Hoshana Rabbah, we go right into Shmini Atzeret. Atzeret is essentially the last of the last holidays of the fall season. Simchat Torah was already an add-on, but it's the last chance for all of the children of Israel who made these pilgrimage holidays, days of marching up to Jerusalem that they did. And then they were about to say goodbye to all their friends from neighboring villages from across the land of Israel and go back home. And they wouldn't see each other for 6 months. So it was their last chance, and they gave them a bonus day to spend some more time with one another. And not only did they want to spend time with one another, they got one more day to be together with God in Shmini Atzeret. Today, we use Shmini Atzeret primarily as a day to think about rain. That's when we say Tfilat Geshem, and we sing for rain. Is there a water song in your repertoire, Cantor?
Sure. ושפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישועה, שפתם מים Yeshua, my, hey, my, besason, my, hey, my, besason, hey, my, besason, my, besason, shaftem besason, meine Yeshua, shaftem besason, meine Yeshua.
Nice.
I didn't know you were going to do that,
Finally.
but I'm happy you did.
Finally, the fall holidays are over, and we're ready to throw a whole holy dance party. Only the Jews have an entire holiday, an entire dance party dedicated towards a book, and that's Simchat Torah. If you've never been to maybe the best Simchat Torah around, outside of Harrison, of course, the best Simchat Torah around is at B'nai Jeshurun in the city, where they essentially build a mosh pit in a beautiful sanctuary. That's where I used to spend my Simchat Torahs in rabbinical school. But separate than that, I think maybe the most memorable Simchat Torah I ever had was, of all places, at Hadassah Hospital, because my girls were born just before Sukkot, and they were very small, and they needed to stay in the hospital for about 9 days. And I thought I'd seen it all in Israel. I'd seen the sirens that go off before Shabbat to remind you to light the candles. I'd seen there that in Israel you can get flowers on Fridays, and everyone in every store wishes you Shabbat Shalom. But I'd never seen Simchat Torah Hakafot happening in the hallway of a hospital. That was amazing.
What a beautiful memory. And of course, if you have a memory to share with us, if you're on Facebook, let us know in the comments. Let us know about a favorite memory from any of the Jewish holidays. And so on Simchat Torah, just as we're about to take out the Torahs to process and to dance with them, we sing this. Ata horeta ladat, ki Adonai hu Elohim, ein od milvado.
Ata horeta ladat, ki Adonai hu Elohim, ein od milvado.
And then we take out the Torahs and we start dancing. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Yeilanu, 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 olechol Yisrael. Yeilanu, yeilanu, olechol Yisrael. Yeilanu, yeilanu. Ulechol Yisrael, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael, V'ha'ereinu b'toratecha, v'dabeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yachei levaveinu le'ahava u'lira et shemecha, lo neivor le'olam ha'ed, lo neivor And so for the people on Facebook, even though you're getting a little bit more of an upgraded viewing experience, you don't see the people on Zoom who I see on my phone who are dancing and having a great time singing along. So if you are in your house, nobody's watching you, feel free to let go, be a little vulnerable. You know, it's late at night. We've all been cooped up in our homes. And so we got to shake our sillies out, as I tell the kids.
On Zoom, I can see some faces of people who've gotten the Simchat Torah honors in our synagogue. Remember, we give a special aliyah to people who have contributed so much to the congregation, like Dina Miller. I know one year was a Simchat Torah honoree, and I believe Debbie Schiff was. I'm seeing who else is on the Zoom right now. I think there's some people we haven't gotten to yet, from what I see here. There's more to come in that regard. Marcos, can you see the comment from Sarah Loesch?
Yeah, it's up on the screen. Do you see it?
Yeah,
it's right there up on the screen. Yeah,
that's so cool. That's amazing technology. Did you put that up, or it comes up automatically?
No, I've got to click it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So right. I'm behind the control board. I'm behind the microphone. I'm behind the piano, and I hope my kids are fed.
Yeah, right. So then we have the month that the rabbis called Mar Cheshvan. Mar means bitter. People are so sad that we don't have any Jewish holidays in the month of Cheshvan that they called it Mar Cheshvan, the bitter, bitter month of Cheshvan. On the other hand, one of my rabbinical school friends made a shirt that said rabbis love Cheshvan because we can finally chill out, but not for long,
right.
because then we get to Hanukkah. Hanukkah is honestly not such an important holiday in the Jewish calendar. It's barely mentioned, certainly not mentioned in the Bible. But the message of Hanukkah then and now was really about assimilation. We want to fit in to our wider society, and so did all of the Israelites at the time, but they still want to be different in some ways. And that was the battle that the Maccabees, that the Hasmoneans had against their other Jews, and we too. Our kids want to be like their Christian neighbors and get all the presents like their neighbors get, but Hanukkah is really about still remembering that we're somewhat different.
Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, I'll give you a treat. 10 people to play with and a lot goes to it. And while we are playing, the candles are burning bright. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Ma'oso Yeshuati Lechana Eleshabeach Tikkun Beit Tefilati B'Sham Todah Lezabeach Le'yetachin Matbeach Mitzor Amnarbeach Azekor B'Shir Mizmor Chanukah Tamizbeach Azekor B'Shir Mizmor. Everybody sing with me. Chanukah Tamizbeach.
James Levi just asked, I think, how to see us both. And the answer is go over to Facebook. If you have Facebook, go over to Facebook to see us both. Thanks for bringing me back
Yes,
to
you got to go to Facebook and you'll get everything.
Thanks for bringing us to Hanukkah. So now I wanted to just talk a little for a moment about all of the fast days in the Jewish calendar. We all know about Yom Kippur. Many of us have heard of Tisha B'Av, but there are actually 6 total. Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av I mentioned. I can't figure out which way to hold my hands. Everything's in a mirror image here. But then there are 4 other holidays that are the minor fast days. The fast of Gedalia, the 10th of Tevet, the 27th of Tammuz. I'm sorry, the 17th, not the 27th, the 17th of Tammuz, and finally the 9th of Av. And all of those holidays have to do with something that happened in our history. The fast of Gedalia was a time that we had the last Jewish governor in Judea before the Babylonians took over. The 10th of Tevet marks the Babylonian siege of the first temple. The 17th of Tammuz marks when the Romans breached the temple walls, and then the 3 weeks that it took for them to get from there to the destruction of the temple on the 9th of Av. Those holidays, those 4 minor ones, are not 25-hour fasts. They're just morning to night. Many people don't know about them. Hi, Jules. Is that Jules or Jaden's back there too? Hi, guys. Good to see you. Welcome back from college, Jules. These fast days, many of us don't know about. Many of us don't observe them. But if we don't talk about them, then it's as if they don't happen. So it's important that they're in our review of the holidays. Now we get. I don't think there are any songs for those fast days. How about Joshua fought the battle of Jericho? You know that?
Yeah. All right. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and that's all the words I know. Because Isaac does listen to it sometimes. By the way, if you are on Facebook, you can't see this on Zoom, but my father, who's known me since the day I was born, spelled my name Marcus. So there you go. Thank you.
Thanks. I mentioned that song because it's about the walls come tumbling down. Not that they were the walls of Jericho, but they were the walls of Jerusalem. But still, I thought there was a connection. Okay, Tu B'Shvat. I'm going to tell everyone the story about how I almost got in really big trouble on Tu B'Shvat. When I was 18, I spent the year living in Israel, and they took us all like 30 or 35 of us out to a forest on Tu B'Shvat, and they made us plant trees and clear rocks and move mud around. And it was a freezing cold, rainy Jerusalem Hills day, and we were not happy to be there. And if you know anything about traffic in Jerusalem, the minute it rains, even just a drop, it's a disaster. Traffic comes to a complete halt. We were all supposed to go back from where we'd done our digging. And by the way, we weren't just digging, we were also having a mud fight, because that's what you do when you're 18. We had a big mud fight with each other, and we were supposed to go back to our base to dry off, change our clothes, and go straight to Hebrew University for classes. But there was a big traffic jam. So we had no time to go back to base. We had to go straight to class. And I was a good student back then. And I used to sit in the front row of class. And I sat down in my seat, and the professor started his lecture. And then he looked down, and he saw that I was completely covered in mud. And he said, "Ma atem osim po? Ze lo kacha lavo la universita kacha. It's not right to come to school looking like that." And I said, "Aval professor, ze Tu B'Shvat, natanu etzim. We planted trees today." And he said, "Oh, in that case, you're totally fine." You got a Tu B'Shvat music for us?
That's a nice story. I feel it in my body, I feel it in my spirit, and I feel it in my soul. Adama,
Adama,
and I feel it in my body, in my spirit,
in my soul. By the way, Cantor Marcos, I'm giving you a hint.
Yeah.
We got our first song request for Pesach. If you put in a song request for Pesach, you're gonna get it when we get there. So stick around, I promise.
All right.
How did Tu B'Shvat get to be picked, by the way? So was the tradition of the first 5 years of fruits belonged to God. And they needed to pick a date for what the 5 years would be, when they would start and when they would end. So that was the days of the tithing, the date for calculating the tithing cycle. And that's why we call Tu B'Shvat the new year of the trees. So let's jump ahead from Tu B'Shvat to Adar, for the month of Adar, to Purim. And I wanted to read a paragraph about Purim from this book called My Jewish Year, which we used last year in an adult education class at the JCCH. And there's a wonderful description about Purim. Page 167. Here I am. 167. I thought I had it marked. That talks about what we think about Purim today versus what it really is. Here we go. Today we think about Purim as a day of partying and excessive drinking and masquerading in costumes, but it's actually so much deeper than that. If we look at what's happened to the character of Haman, he's been imbued with every enemy of the Jewish people. Haman has taken on the face of whatever threat we Jews were and are now confronting. At different times in Jewish history, we've called Haman the different names of our oppressors. We've dressed him up in different garb and allowed him to represent each peril. There's always a Haman. This year, Haman was called Corona. And not only did Haman destroy a lot, Haman destroyed Purim this year, which is really a shame. So we weren't able to really do the mitzvot that we wanted to do in the way we wanted to do them. And as I've gone to the synagogue each day over the last couple of weeks, I've been eating one by one all of the humantashim that are sitting in the synagogue lobby, waiting to be picked up from our mishloach manot. but we were able to do some Megillah readings that I broadcast on Facebook, and we were able to have a Suda. And next year, we're going to have a huge Purim with the costumes Cantor Marcos that you and I already bought.
We spent so much money on Amazon on those costumes. It's all right. It's worth it.
I told Dina to bill it to next year.
Great. All right. See, that's how you manage to be financially responsible, right? In a time like this. So, had Purim happened, we would have sang this song, Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. When you welcome Adar, the month of Adar, it's got to be in happiness. And there was a little damper on that happiness, but I think we're here, we're singing, and that's all we can do is raise our voices and sing together in song. Misha, 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 Misha Nichnas Adar. Misha, 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 Misha. Misha, 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 Nichnas Adar. Misha,
Hey, Jaden. So from Purim, we have exactly 4 weeks, from the 14th of Adar to the 14th of Nisan, when we go into Pesach. Pesach is 8 days, but most of the attention in our day and age goes to the Seder night or the Seder nights. Seder means order, but beyond doing it in the exact order, Kadesh or Chad, I don't think you're going to sing that one. You have really freedom to go nuts during Pesach. And the question that we should really ask on Pesach, the main question is, how are we going to newly engage our kids and engage ourselves at the Seder? It's a challenge this year because we're not going to be with all the people we want to be with. We're not going to have the 100 and 200 person synagogue Seder that we were really pretty much guaranteeing that we were going to have for ourselves this year. We're probably not even going to have the 20 or 30 person Seders around our tables. We may have 5 of us. We may have 2 of us. We may just have 1 of us around our Pesach Seder table this year. But there's still an opportunity. There's so much to add. There's so much to think about this year. The synagogue is going to be sharing plenty of our own materials. We're also going to be putting out some opportunities for virtual Seders. The Rabbinical Assembly is working on it. I know the Cantor's Assembly is working on it too, how to lead a virtual Seder, how to have a virtual Seder. Just because we're alone doesn't mean we should feel abandoned. And that's going to be one of our goals of planning for the next couple of weeks. Cantor Marcos, the Pesach request that we had from Abe Dumaine. Abe, you were here a second ago. There he is. He's back. Hey, Abe, he's on. He's
What did Abe say?
For Chad Gadya, you got one?
Yeah. All right, you're gonna have to sing the words in case I forget them, because I was gonna do Adir Hu. We're gonna do that too.
Yeah.
Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. La 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 la. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. The words are in Aramaic. Next verse. It's not so easy with the Weinstein without the Weinstein Haggadah, right?
Now, while you were singing that pretty song, I don't know what happened to James Levi. He was singing along, and then suddenly he looked like he was hit in the stomach with a bowling ball. I'm
You know what? It was.
ask,
Yeah. He was.
I'm
He,
going to ask if he's okay. James, are you okay? James, come in. James, are you there?
was
Laura
overwhelmed.
says it's not okay. Okay,
Having to
we'll work
prepare
on that.
this early.
We'll work on James.
He
So
probably went to go clean out his cupboard.
hope he's okay. We miss you, James. So let's talk about a day. It's not a holiday; it's a commemoration, and that is the commemoration of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, that comes just after Pesach. When Israel decided in 1948 to pick a date for commemorating the Holocaust, it wasn't simple. The Zionists, who'd been part of the underground Nazi resistance during Yom HaShoah, wanted it to, which fell on the first anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, wanted the Israelis' commemoration to honor the strength of the Jews, not just their execution. But Orthodox Israelis said it was wrong to create the day of mourning so close to Passover, which is supposed to be a joyful holiday. So some said that Yom HaShoah should be folded into Tisha B'Av, the existing day of national remembrance, which falls in the summer. So there were 2 years of arguing in the Knesset, no big surprise, when David Ben-Gurion found a middle ground, not during Pesach itself, when the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising took place, but rather on the 27th of Nisan, 13 days after Passover. That's how they came up with the day. And in Israel, every year on Yom HaShoah, at 10 o'clock in the morning, the air raid sirens wail with chilling volume, and everything stops. The traffic, the commerce, the conversations, and it's really incredible to see 2 minutes of frozenness on the streets of Israel. I've been there for that, and the sirens sound something like this. Just like that.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. That's one of my
pretty cool.
weird talents.
That's pretty good.
Do you have any Yom HaShoah appropriate music, Cantor?
The words Gam ki elech begetzal maved. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. This is a song that I composed when I was either 18 or 19, and I was at sleepaway camp. And Tisha B'Av usually falls during always falls during the summer. And we were always at camp. And so we would gather outside of our bunks, and we would light torches, and we would march silently through the entire camp, 400 or 500 people. And we would sing this song, Gam Ki Elech, reminding us that we should never be afraid. We should always have the courage to press on. So this is an original piece. Gam ki elech begetzal mavet lo irara ki ata imadi ki elech begetzal mavet lo irara ki ata imani Shiftecha משענתך שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני.
That's really pretty. Thank you. You know, one of the customs that some have developed around Yom HaShoah is adding another fast day to our calendar. Some people decide to fast on Yom HaShoah as well. After Yom HaShoah, barely a week later, we have two other modern Jewish days, which are the commemorations of Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. Israel's Memorial Day and Israel's Independence Day are not 6 weeks apart like we have in America, nor is Israel's Memorial Day marked like Memorial Day is marked in America, which is a great day to buy discounted clothing dryers and cars and mattresses. Rather, Yom HaZikaron in Israel is inextricably linked to the need for a remembrance of just the sacrifices that are given in Israel. All the TV stations go dark, and they all show only one thing. They essentially put up a slideshow of all the 40,000 plus victims, or not victims, well, maybe victims, but heroes certainly, who have been hurt in the creation and the protection of the modern state of Israel and the victims of terrorism. And then at midnight, not at midnight, then at sunset, at the end of Yom HaZikaron, Memorial Day, Israel switches over to Yom HaAtzmaut, to a celebration of its freedom and independence. Do you have any Yom HaAtzmaut and Yom HaZikaron music?
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. One more time, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai.
Yom HaAtzmaut and Yom HaZikaron are amazing times to be in Israel. I hope that you'll all get a chance sometimes. There aren't a lot of home rituals around Yom HaAtzmaut, but there is one though, and that's to have a big old barbecue. Hopefully we'll be done with our coronavirus quarantine by the time we get to Yom HaAtzmaut this year in late, I think it's April 29th, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I have a Jewish calendar right in front of me.
Yeah, it's sometime.
Let's have a big barbecue, shall we, Marcos?
Light her up.
You like a barbecue.
As long as we can have parv s'mores also.
No problem. In my fire pit. I'm happy to do that. Shavuot comes towards the end of May this year. Hi, what's up, Ian Dumaine? Shavuot is the holiday that is really about commemorating our love for Torah. Simchat Torah is about dancing with the Torah. Shavuot is about learning and loving having received the Torah. But there are other themes to it also. The themes of the first fruits. If you've ever been at often synagogues have what are called kindergarten consecration ceremonies as the kindergartners advance to begin their real Jewish learning. And there's a quote I wanted to read from Rabbi Erwin Kula describing his understanding of Shavuot, which is the third of the three pilgrimage holidays. Rabbi Kula, I had the page a second ago. Yeah, it was here on page 260. Rabbi Kula wrote, and describing how important standing at Sinai should be for the Jewish people, and compares it to in America and how fragmented we are as a country. Imagine if 500,000 people, Republicans and Democrats and conservatives and liberals and religious and secular people, all kinds of people could stand for an hour in front of the holy space, whatever you consider the holy space in America, in front of the Lincoln Memorial, the Capitol building, let's say Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the Statue of Liberty, and feel that we knew what it was like to be American together. Imagine if every generation was there for the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and then when we're really fighting and ugly to each other, someone takes a step back and says, "Oh, we were there. We were there in Philadelphia that day. We were there." That would be the American version of Sinai. 1 minute standing together, and then an hour later, he writes, we can start fighting again, because that's the Torah too. That's the invitation of Mount Sinai. The Torah is what unites us as Jews. We were all there at Mount Sinai. In fact, if you're looking for a Jewish date, not you, Cantor Marcos, you're married. But if you're looking for a date, there's a Jewish dating website called what else? Saw You at Sinai, saying that we were all there once together.
You know, it's funny because you really looked familiar, Rabbi. I mean, I'm looking at your face and I swear I could have seen you there.
I was definitely skinnier then, but yeah.
Weren't we all?
You got some Shavuot music?
I sure do. There's a melody that we use not very often, and if you come to Shul on Shavuot, you may have heard it. And so if you have, you can sing it along with me. The words are Aramaic, and it begins with the word akdamut, which means allow me to begin some words. I ask permission to speak and be heard. Akdamut minin besherayut shuta avla shaklena harman urshuta bechavei tereu tlat deftach benakshuta bevarei devarei v'tarei adei lekashishuta. And I'll tell you, the words do not get easier.
No, especially ones if you've stayed up all night studying Torah and you have to read them the next morning totally bleary-eyed. But maybe they're there. Of course, they're in Aramaic because that was the language that people spoke on the street. It was the normal language. Nice to see Abby Grace just joined us. Hey, AG. And Shavuot comes and goes, and hopefully is a nice opportunity for all. We have around that same time of the year always Yom Yerushalayim, the day commemorating the unification of the holy city of Yerushalayim from 1948 until 1967, when Israel was in existence. For those 19 years, we had no unified Jerusalem. More than half the city was under the military control of Jordan, and there was a major split down the middle of the city. That's why we still celebrate Jerusalem. It happened to be the last day of my year living in Israel as an 19-year-old by that point, where I remember a Jerusalem Unification Day parade down the middle of the city, and people were singing simply, Ani Ohev et Eretz Yisrael. I love the state of Israel. I love Jerusalem.
Lach Yerushalayim bein chomotayim, Lach Yerushalayim bein chomotayim, Belibeinu nashir echad kayam, Lach Yerushalayim bein Yarden vayam, Lach Yerushalayim Yerushalayim, Or Chadash Yair, Belibeinu nashir echad kayam, Lach Yerushalayim bein Yarden vayam, Lach Yerushalayim bein Yarden vayam.
We're coming to the end, folks. We promised you 45 minutes. We're not far off that. In the middle of the summer, we have Tisha B'Av, the date of communal loss for the Jewish people. Tisha B'Av isn't as well known by those of us, let's say, in the liberal Jewish communities, in the Reform or in our conservative worlds. I really started to observe Tisha B'Av only when I went to summer camp. It's not one of those holidays that you live because it doesn't take place during the Hebrew school year or during the academic school year. It's just during the summer. But Camp Ramah in the Berkshires, Tisha B'Av was my introduction, was received. And I particularly remember the camp custom of watching every summer the favorite Tisha B'Av movie of Camp Ramah was. Do you know what it was, Cantor?
What was that?
You know what movie we used to watch? We used to watch the Rated Entebbe movie. Watch it because that was like a good Entebbe.
Yeah, as a kid.
As a kid, sure. Well, I was a teenager, I didn't go until I was a teen, and that's what we would watch because they wanted to give us some Jewish pride watching that movie of how Israel cared so much when was so worried that there not be communal loss like there had been so many other Tisha B'Avs, that Israel went and rescued the Jews down there in Uganda. You have some music from Tisha B'Av?
So the book of Lamentations that we read on Tisha B'Av, Eicha, it's a hauntingly beautiful melody. And so even if you don't understand fully what the words mean, I often read in English just to know exactly what I'm saying when I read Eicha. But the melody is gorgeous, and it chills you. And so we'll just do a little bit of that now. Of course, you got to come back to shul. That's the point, right? Get you to come back to shul for Eicha. Eicha yasheva badar ha'ir rabati am hayta ke'almana rabati bagoyim sarati b'medinot hayta Lamos. And then at the end of the evening, we sing Kinot poems, and of course, perhaps the most well-known from the night of Eicha is Elitzion. Elitzion ve'area kemo isha betzirea v'chitfu lacha goratzak al ba'al ne'ureha. Let's sing Yadai together. Yadai,
So Tisha B'Av is really the end of the cycle, and right after the 9th of Av, we go through the rest of Av, and then we're ready in the next holiday month, which is Elul, leading us back up to Rosh Hashanah. Now, there's one more holiday that I didn't mention, and that's a holiday that we're so lucky to have every single year and every single week of the year, and that's Shabbat. Shabbat is a gift to the Jewish people. Chad Ha'am has said more than the Jewish people have kept Shabbat. Shabbat has kept the Jewish people united and together. It's very hard for me these last few weeks to not have the normal sort of Shabbat. We've gone out of our way as a family to really set the table especially nicely for Shabbat. We've taken out our china, which we never use. We've taken out our silver, which we never use. We've put on a nice tablecloth, our cloth napkins, and we're really careful to make sure that Shabbat is a special day during a time where we miss going to synagogue, where we miss the communal traditions of Shabbat, where we miss having friends over to friends' houses. And yet Shabbat, which is a day of giving a break to ourselves and giving a break to the world, we have to keep looking for the silver linings in this virus disaster situation and dangerous situation that we're finding ourselves in. And that's that the world needs a break. That's that we need a break. And there's no question that we've had a lot of good family bonding. I've been in touch with members of the synagogue I'm not usually in touch with. We've waved to our neighbors in ways that we've never waved before. We've commiserated from across the street, 12 or more feet away, but we're still getting to connect in a way, thanks to the break in our regular lives that this unfortunate, terribly destructive virus is giving really the whole world. this Jewish idea of needing a Sabbath, needing a Shabbat, is living its way out through the virus, and there's something to give thanks for, even if it's destruction and the damage.
So we were going to sing Yismechu, but Rabbi, you mentioned the need to bring healing and to bring peace. So why don't we sing Oseh Shalom, which is from our Shabbat liturgy, of course. We say it in the Amidah and in the various Kaddiches that we say. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu,
Oh, Yisrael, Amen.
Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu,
Oh, Yisrael,
Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu.
Yisrael,
Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
We can't end without acceding to the request of one clergy kid, and that's, I believe that was Isaac Askenazi, the younger one, not the elder, who's also here on Facebook. But there was a request, Cantor, from baby Isaac for Hanukkah Bamba. You got it there somewhere?
For the 700th time today, because that's what happens when you have an almost 3-year-old. Again, they want the song again. Oh, we're gonna eat some latkes. We're gonna eat some latkes on Hanukkah. Ooh, yummy latkes. We're gonna eat some latkes on Hanukkah. Everybody, Hanukkah, Hanukkah. Everybody, Hanukkah, 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 Hanukkah. What else are we gonna do? We're gonna eat some jelly donuts. Oh, yummy, yummy donuts on Hanukkah. Yeah, we eat donuts. Sugani for Hanukkah. Hanukkah, 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 Hanukkah.
That's pretty good. Lucky baby Isaac. So to summarize maybe the whole thing, we're really lucky to have the structure of the entire Jewish calendar, which brings us together as Jews purposefully throughout the year, from the beginning of Elul straight until the end of Av, and then it starts all up again. And good times for us, good times for the Jewish people, and hopefully we'll be able to get back onto our Jewish holiday cycle very, very soon. Cantor Marcos, please remember to post this or save it, whatever we're supposed to do, so anybody who wasn't here can watch it later. We wish the whole world a refuah shlema these weeks. We have more than half a dozen families in the synagogue who are dealing with this virus, but that's just because we're representative of the population of Westchester, of New York, of the United States, indeed of the whole globe. We wish everyone a refuah shlema and are glad that we're able to come together for reasons like this. We have Shacharit every morning at 8 a.m. these days. We're having a few different things before Friday night. Before Shabbat this Friday night, something for Kehillah School, but open to everyone that Amichai Margolis is leading. Cantor Marcos and I will do the split screen on Friday afternoon before Shabbat begins. I'm doing a Torah class on Friday morning. And finally, if you want a brisket, not you, Deborah Beers, if you want a brisket, I've found a way to get brisket for everybody. If you'd like one, please let me know. Send me a note. We should have the orders arriving next week. You want to play us out with something, Cantor?
You mentioned healing and refuah. Let's sing together. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeinu imoteinu mikor those in need of healing with refuah sheleima, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
On behalf of Cantor, Marcos, and I, we miss you all and hope to see you in person really very, very soon. Laila Tov, good night.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.